Welcome back, book friends, to another episode of Between Two Succulents, the only show on the internet that takes leading literary voices and asks them existential questions about houseplants. And now, for your host, the friendly neighborhood bookseller, Brandon Rashad Butts.
Book friends, welcome back. Oh, it's been too long. Thank you so much for coming back for season 3 of Between Two Succulents. I'm, of course, your friendly neighborhood bookseller, Brandon Rashad Butts, and it's truly good to be back in this space, talking with you all, sharing some of our love of books around here. And, of course, I've always got a great choice for you, and this week is no exception. We got to bring it back with a big old bang, so let's get into it. Our great guest today has written an amazing book. And I want to tell you a little bit about them before we actually get into it. So our guest today has been the best-selling author of officially 4 novels. She's a recipient of the National Book Club Award, the Phyllis Wheatley Award, and the USA Best Book Award for Best Fiction. A former board member of the James River Writers. Y'all know I love me some Richmond, Virginia. And she lives there currently with her family, beautiful family. Everyone, please welcome to the show the writer of The Yellow Wife, Miss Sadeqa Johnson. Sadeqa!
Yeah!
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing.
Thank you. Today we're going to be talking with Sadeqa about her latest book of fantastic historical fiction called The Yellow Wife. You may have tuned in some of the other interviews that everybody has been wise enough to try to get Sadeqa on because they know that she's got the juice. But we're going to get to know her a little bit better our own personal way. Y'all remember, I'm sure, our favorite segment around here. We love to call it Aw Sucks. So, Sadeqa, here's how this one's going to go. Joe is going to introduce our 2 succulent VIPs for today, and you're going to tell us which one that is best suited for the overall general tone of the show, and which one that you would probably pick as Phoebe's favorite, maybe. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds like fun.
Awesome. Joe, tell us about our gorgeous succulents for today.
Thanks, Brandon. I'd love to. On the left side of your screen, you'll see the cornstalk dracania. Is a tropical African evergreen that grows in thick stalks like corn. It is very low maintenance, happy plant, and is sometimes confused for palm trees, giving them the nickname false palms. Actually, I'm sorry, that plant is on the right. I'm talking about the plant on the right now. Okay. These are also very toxic to your pets or shop dogs, so be aware, as this one you do not want your cat to munch on. Then, oh no, let me fix that. I got that. Don't worry. Don't worry, everybody. We got this. Total professionals around here. Come on. There we go. Now on the left, the variegated croton, also known as the garden croton, and Joseph's coat. This species is known for its colorful foliage, and the plant does require quite a lot of care and attention, which makes them not the easiest to grow. It has a milky sap that is poisonous if it excretes, and so always make sure to handle with care and keep out of the reach of small children. Sadeqa, which one is singing the song of your heart today?
I'm going to say that slightly poisonous, milky, because, in the beginning of the book, Phoebe is walking through the woods with her mama, and her mama knows how to avoid the dangerous ones. And so we're going to go with the dangerous one.
Yeah! We're going to go with the dangerous one. Absolutely. That's a beautiful thing. It's like also you included so much of that knowledge about the roots and everything, but then the root work of what can come out of that type of stuff. So that's actually a very appropriate selection for sure. So thank you for playing along with us, Sadeqa. Let's go ahead and get into this book. So the first question is probably the most obvious, but in terms of context, it's so important that it's just kind of a requirement to ask. What inspired you to tell Phoebe's story specifically?
So I moved to the Richmond area in 2015. And in 2016, I had some friends come down to visit me from New Jersey, and someone suggested that we take a walk along the Richmond Slave Trail. And for those who have not been on the trail, it was unveiled in 2011. It snakes along the James River, and there are 17 markers along the trail that talk about what it was like for the enslaved people as they came into Richmond. And one of the markers talked about the Lumpkins jail. And it was described as a punishing center and holding site for enslaved people. And it said that the owner was married to a Black woman, and her name was Mary Lumpkin. And right away, I could feel the hairs on my arms stand up, and something in that moment said, Sadeqa, you should be paying attention.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that's something that I've done a couple times, being from the area, and since it's gone up. And I think I overall try to pay attention, but just like the true deep dive, almost if it will, into Lumpkin's jail, specifically through the eyes of Mary, is something that is not. I mean, it hasn't been done, and I feel like it's so prominent and so important. So it's really, truly just great to have even a somewhat fictitious, a recounting of anything that could have happened there at that rather terrible place. So The Yellow Wife is your fourth novel, but it is the only one dealing with the narrative of American slavery. And there are a number of books, including in the fiction genre, that deal with the subject. So my question is, specifically as a contemporary writer, what are some of the things that you probably had to take into consideration when writing a book that is set against the landscape of the antebellum South?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because it was a leap of faith for me. My first three novels, as you mentioned, were contemporary fiction. And I always was writing about things that I knew, And so this was the first time that I actually took on a subject that happened over 100 years before I was born. So the very first thing I had to do was go out to plantations and visit them. I needed to be able to smell it and taste it and touch it and see what our ancestors went through on a daily basis. I did a lot of research. I spent a lot of time at the Library of Virginia checking out old periodicals and newspaper clippings and novels and books and things written by enslaved people, so that I could get their perspective of what it was like for them, so that I could fold fact and fiction together to create this story. But it was different for me. It was definitely a challenge, but it was so rewarding.
I'm glad to hear that part, because it was definitely a reward to be able to, of sorts, to be able to read this story, and actually, the rise and the falls, and because it really was like, it was it was not a thriller, but definitely full of suspense. Like you had to know what was going to happen next, and it was just something you couldn't put down. Truly, you've truly created a work that I believe captures both both captures and challenges the reader, and I think that is going to make you the excellent champion for our next segment that we like to call, y'all remember, the lightning round.
Crash, bang, lightning.
So here's how this one's going to go. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you just give me your own personal rapid fire, whatever summed up brief description answer that you can. And the good news is that if all of you out there watching us on our YouTube Live or Facebook Live or on the StreamYard, if you engage in the comment section to the best of your abilities, you will qualify to win your own copy of The Yellow Wife, available right here at Charm City Books. Sadeqa, are you ready to take on the lightning round?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So question number 1. Given the heavy content of the book, how would you recommend the reader approach the subject material and maybe other books similar to it?
I would say just pick it up, open it up, and get started. There is nothing to it but to do it.
Hey, there you go. And you won't regret it. I pretty much did the same thing, so please go for it. Question number 2. You were quoted saying, even in some interviews that I saw, as well as roughly in this moment here, you went out on that slave trail and the story was waiting for you, and you said yes to it. How would you briefly sum up that experience for someone who's never experienced something like that?
I mean, honestly, for me, it happened. There was an energy. There was a synergy that I felt. I walked across the sacred African burial ground, and it was like the ancestors were waiting for me. And I had this thought that said they want me to tell their story. And it terrified me, but it was invigorating all at the same time. And I just said, I opened up my car door and they got in with me. And so it was almost like I didn't have a choice, and I'm really glad that I trusted that gut feeling inside of me. Oftentimes we don't do that. We don't trust that gut feeling we have. So I'm glad that I did.
Yes, that's for sure. Definitely a gut type of thing. I love that. All right. And then question number 3. What would you say is the key ingredient in the fight for freedom?
I think the key ingredient during the period of Yellow Wife in the fight for freedom would be community, people banding together. And I think that we could say that for today too. Like it's a matter of us all coming together to say, this is what we won't take anymore. Sort of like we did last year with the social uprising. It's a group of people getting together and deciding collectively that we're not going to take this anymore.
We love a revolution, and with that, everyone, you are our champion.
Thank you.
Joe, who is our first lucky winner of season 3 of Between Two Succulents?
Brandon, our inaugural winner of a copy of Yellow Wife by Sadeqa Johnson is none other than Teresa Macheski. Congratulations, Teresa. You can, of course, pick up that copy anytime you stop by the shop or add it to your delivery or shipment next time you shop with us online at charmcitybooks.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in, Teresa. And thank you all for tuning in today with us. I really, really appreciate it. Continue to come back, continue to engage, continue to amplify all of the great artists that we have planned for you this entire season. Sadeqa, before we let you go for the day, you're kind of on the tail end of this amazing release of this great book. You're kind of book touring. I just noticed that you were down at Richmond for the opening of the book bar, which I'm still excited to go and check out. I hope that went well.
Yeah.
Are you getting a chance to take a break at all? What's next for you?
No breaks. I just got my editorial notes from my editor for my next novel called Where the Bad Girls Go. So I am back at the computer. I'm back churning out these characters and trying to get this book to you all by next spring of 2023.
Yeah.
All right. We got something coming next spring, y'all. 2023. Mark your calendars. I'm definitely ready myself. Sadeqa, while we have you, do you want to take this moment to shout out any organizations or causes that you support or mean anything to you?
I think, gosh, that is like a loaded question. Well, one of the causes that I support in Richmond is called Mega Mentors. So any support that you can throw behind Mega Mentors is a good organization.
Awesome. Mega Mentors, everybody. Check them out. And if you can swing any support there, they would greatly appreciate it. Sadeqa spins a tale of love, endurance, and freedom in her new book, The Yellow Wife, and it is available right here at Charm City Books. Shop online. You can get yourself a copy. As Joe mentioned, we can ship it to you, or you can deliver it, or you can stop by and say, hey, pet the shop dogs and get your copy in person. Sadeqa, truly an honor and a blessing to be able to sit here and talk with you. Thank you so much for highlighting Mary Lumpkin's life through the lens of our protagonist, Phoebe, and just listening to the ancestors, as you put it. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you so much for doing what you're doing. It's so important for us to amplify our voices and get the word out there about some of these books. So thank you for doing what you do.
Absolutely. It's my favorite thing to do. That's for sure. Amplify our voices for sure. And thank you all out there who tuned in. We'll be back here. We're doing things a little bit different this season. We're going to be back every other week this year, but trust me, you won't want to miss it. So mark your calendars next for February 22nd. We have something awesome for you. The community of Baltimore, we have a guest coming in, and I think that you're going to enjoy that guest as well. Until then, stay warm until this cold snap breaks. Get vaccinated if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. It's great to be back. See y'all.
Yeah.